Hey, what's up guys, this is Liam or Weagle on your Overwatch, back with a new video, and today we're going to be breaking down the Temple of D rank. I know that this was one of the most requested and you guys wanted to know how to take the second point in particular. I will cover the first point and all the other points and all the maps at some point. You can let me know what one you want to see the most in the comment section down below. 2CP map second points are a massive pain for a lot of people, and a lot of pros don't play them for that reason, because they don't like doing it. Now, I think the Koreans are actually forced in general to play the 2CP game modes. However, in the USA, most people really do try to avoid them, and that's because they're really annoying and not fun to play at times. But there are definitely some ways that can help you guys learn it and how to take these points easier. There's going to be a lot of philosophy in this video. There will also be some gameplay breakdown, of course, and I'll also show you some specific spots on the map that you should take or defend as well. I will also speak about defense, as I always do with these guides. Now, the first thing and the most important thing really about 2CP is, especially on the second point, you have to wipe the enemy team to win, and that sounds obvious, doesn't it? But on a lot of game modes, people can get away with trickle, trickle, trickle. However, that's what you can't get away with in 2CP on second point, and that's why a lot of people struggle with it. Now, I did say wrongly, actually, in one map video where I said that all 2CP maps are the same. Now, they're very similar, and some of the principles are the same. However, they're very different in some ways as well. There's different ledges to stand on, there's different routes to take. A lot of the first points are very, very similar, and the second points do differ a little bit. Now, this point here on Anubis is a problem for a lot of people because you are so far away from your spawn and the enemy defensive team is right next to their spawn. So this is why picks are no good. Now, if you remember me talking about getting picks on Hanamura in the last episode, I showed you how Widow was really, really good at getting picks when your team refused to take the choke. Now, this is a lot harder on the second point and not something that I can actually recommend like I did in that video. Not only do you need the mechanical skill to do it, but the consistency is very, very difficult and way too much to ask for a lot of people. So in that exact same game, I got loads of picks on Widow. We went to the second point and I got 3 picks, but then because I didn't keep getting more picks and more picks, we weren't able to cap the point out, and I died, the Winston dove me, and you have to get a ridiculous amount of picks in order to take the second point. So Widow and Hanzo are a little bit rough. Now, Hanzo's okay because he has his Dragon Strike, and you can couple that with Zarya, which is something that I definitely want to talk about, is the ult wipe combo that you can have with Zarya. She's usually a good pick on attacking on 2CP for lots of reasons. If you're running dive, she works well with that, but also if you're running a Reinhardt, she can also bubble the Reinhardt as he pins, and her ultimate is one way to almost cheese it out, to force your team to focus things. When everyone knows there's a grav coming on your team, everyone wants to pop their ults and everyone wants to dive on it and kill the people that are in that death ball, and that is why Zarya is also really good for 2CP, because her ult wipe combo forces team play. It's funny how Overwatch works, and there's a lot of situations, and we've spoke about them before, where sometimes you just have to force your team to do something. So a Mei wall was a really good example a long time ago. If you wall off the enemy team, it actually forces your team to focus fire on the things on this side of the wall, and that's how you have to approach 2CP as well. Is how can you get your team to play together in order to get the best team wipe possible? Now, one big problem that a lot of people make on 2CP is they get a pick at the start and they think that's enough and you have to jump on the advantage. Now, that's true in some ways. However, a lot of the time when this happens, you will have someone in spawn. If you're down one hero and they're down one hero, so you're an even playing field, that is not even in 2CP. So if you've got someone that's just died and they've got someone that's just died and you're not in the fight, you need to just regroup there straight away. What happens on 2CP a lot is people will keep trickling, actually, and people will try and initiate and it doesn't work, and then maybe your Tracer will poke to the side and your Zarya tries to get a little bit of extra charge, and you end up in the most horrendous trickle battle of all time. And this happens in 2CP non-stop, in every game, in most games, in matchmaking. It's crazy. People will keep trickling, and they don't seem to realize when they're doing it as much in 2CP for some reason. But the thing that you have to know as soon as you're going into a team fight is you are going for a team fight wipe. That is exactly what you have to have in your mind at all times. Whatever your comp is, it doesn't matter too much. We'll talk a bit about comp, but you have to be going in the fight to kill everything as quickly as possible. No kind of poke or pick is any good unless it's instantly followed up on. So the first thing really that's really required in this game mode is patience. You have to expect to be waiting there for 6 minutes before you take the point. Even though you've rolled the first point, sometimes you can't roll that second point. Sometimes the enemy team will sustain that second point. And that's where you have to have the patience to regroup with your team and not tilt off the side of the planet. This is particularly difficult when they do have a Widow that's not getting a pick every other second, because you really have to be doing that good on Widow to justify a pick on the second point. So patience is always required. If you walk in and they use a load of ults and you die, stop there. Don't poke at all. We've explained this more and more as time's gone on, and we still have to try and stress this point a lot, is poke damage is nearly never good. Unless your Zarya's trying to get a bit of charge, maybe. If someone's nearly got an ultimate, it's okay. But really, all you're doing is charging the enemy's defensive ultimates when you poke. And on 2 CP, that is what you do not want to do ever. So if you're not actually in a fight, you literally run back and hide, and you don't do any damage whatsoever. That's how 2 CP needs to be played. So the discipline in order to expect to lose some team fights and then fully disengage, get all of your ultimates and go in, that's exactly how you have to do it. Is try and bait theirs out, get your ults, and then wipe them. And that's how it works. Now, the last bit of philosophy before we go into the map and the breakdown is, who do we kill? Who do we fight? Who do we dive? Weagle, you've told us to go as a team, so we've regrouped, we've got our ultimates, we're not trickling, here we go, we're going to fight. Well, who do you go for? Now, context is important here. It does depend on the enemy team's comp, but again, as the video we did before, you have to find something, isolate it, and kill it. Now, there can be a lot of problems with the soldier up on the high ground. There can also be problems with the healers sitting in the back right or the back left, or split even. So depending on the angle you take, you probably do want to try and kill a healer straight away. Ana is always good because she just keeps everything alive forever. The gameplay I'll show you in a minute will break down a different approach to it, but you want to isolate something. So the soldier at the top, go and kill it as a team. Go and kill the Ana in the back right. One thing you do have to be careful of, and that is actually killing Mercy too early. A lot of the time people think you have to dive the Mercy that's always on the back right. She's always there, and everyone thinks you need to dive her and kill her. Well, on 2 CP and the very nature of it and how I've explained it, if you actually do dive that Mercy and kill her and then have a bit of an extended fight, by the time you actually win the team fight and start capping the point, she comes out of spawn and reses them. So Mercy actually isn't a high priority target in that sense. Unless she's in the grab from Zarya or she's been hammered down by Ryan with the team and she's going to die with a bunch of them, it's actually not a great kill if you get it too early on. So you have to be very, very careful with that. But getting rid of their main damage dealer or an Ana is very, very key in taking this point. But the most important thing to note is that the highest priority target really is the one on the enemy team that's having the most impact in that specific game that you're playing in. It could be anyone. Now, if we take an overview of the map before I break this gameplay down, we're going to go through the different ways people can take this. So on defense, if they're running a Mei and you're walking through that middle point getting walled off all the time, you're going to run into a lot of trouble. Now, you don't need a Reinhardt on this point, but it does help to have one most of the time. Of course, dive is still very good on this point, but if they're walling you off constantly, don't just walk down this middle track. Actually, what's really good on attack here, if the healer is in the back right or their soldier and that priority target is, you can take the right hand route. It's much harder for them to crowd control you, to hit any spam damage into you without them overextending. They really have to be out of position in order to hit you here. You can dive on the right hand side and do a lot of damage. The left hand side can also be a good option, but it can be very susceptible to dying to people that are again using that Mei wall. So if they've got a Mei, the right hand side is the best way to go a lot of the time. And then the other way, of course, against any comp is to run a decent split comp into this. You can dive them from multiple angles. It's a lot harder for them to deal with. If they have a soldier up on the high ground here, you've got to run a Winston or a Diva and get him off of there as soon as possible, because he is just going to wreck you from that perched position. Now, if we're going to break some gameplay down, I'll show you some with Winston and some with Ryan, because they do really make a big difference. So you'll you'll see in this first clip with the Winston, he actually dives in and pretty much lands on their Reinhardt, and this is a very interesting bit of gameplay right here, because we don't really dive the right targets, but the enemy team also don't punish us for that, and we actually gain some free ground. So we have this weird fight where we get the ground and then we kill a couple of people and just kind of sustain out from there. One thing that's very important when taking any 2CP second point is keeping your healers alive. If there's going to be a trickle battle, whether you're a lower rank or people just can't seem to gel their ultimates together, whatever it may be, if you're keeping your healers alive, which is down to them positioning better and also the team defending them, you're going to have a much better chance at having that extended fight. So in this fight, we managed to get in and nothing dies straight away, which is bad. However, the enemy team don't punish us. This means that we're actually able to just have this extended fight and trickle them until we have that team wipe ult that comes out that I was talking about. Even though the initial part of this fight doesn't show what I've been talking about in this video, this second part does. We would not have capped this point if we didn't have that team wipe ult and the soldier cleans up. And it's really, really nice because the initiation at the start isn't amazing, but it's at least there and it's important, and we dive and we go together and we dive on the Rhine, and that's how you do 2CP. Now in this next example, I'm playing Anna, who I also don't play. In both of these clips, I'm actually filling because I like to win, and I'm playing Anna, you know, as well as I can. And we go in with the Reinhardt, and here is more of a split team comp decision that I was talking about. Now this isn't orthodox, however, it does work. A few of us come from the middle, I believe one goes to the right, and we have our Lucio and our Ryan behind them. The D.Va overextends and we punish it, and we come up, and as the enemy team go to face us, the Ryan wants to hammer us down, our Ryan and Lucio are behind them, and we're coming in from every angle, and once again, we hammer down like their whole team, and we get that nice wipe that we needed to. Even though we didn't kill the whole team, and we lost a couple, our healers are still alive once more. Keeping them alive is so important to win in this fight. You have to keep the healers alive if there's going to be any kind of an extension on the initial fight. But really, you do need to be going for grab or earth shatter and kill things as quickly as possible. The last gameplay I'll show you guys is going to be some from FREEDO's point of view, where initially we just lose a fight. We lose a fight because that's what happens in Overwatch, guys. You got to keep your head in 2CP. It's so important. It's all about persevering with the team that you've been given. And sometimes that means going in, losing to loads of ults and dying. But from there, make sure you don't poke. You absolutely regroup. You come back. No poke damage is a good thing in Overwatch. Don't do it. And then once again in this clip, there's initiation. We go in as a team. We take a team fight. We pick someone that we want to kill straight away. We get that pick and we win out the fight from there. So team comp is now what you're thinking. Well, you've told us how to do it, Weagle. Well, what are the best heroes to do this with? Now, this varies a lot. It depends on the enemy team, how they're playing, who they're playing. And it's not like first point. I explained on first point that if your team don't want to move, you go Hanzo, Widow, and you get picks. It's not really an option on second point, unless you're like the best player in the world. So what do you do? Well, most picks are good picks. I would just say don't take the heroes that are going for specific one-shot kills, because they're too hard to implement. But the rest of the heroes in the game are good. Be careful of Farah, because she can be very difficult to actually stay far enough away and also hit shots. So she needs to try and stay alive and hit shots on things. Also, Farah's DPS isn't actually very good in terms of raw damage per second, which is what you're looking for in this fight. So Farah can be a dodgy pick unless, again, you have the Grav and you have the Farah ultimate as well to be very good. Genji, Tracer, the usual, all very good here. Tanks, again, don't matter so much. 2CP is more about the team fight. I can't really give you specifics on how to carry in this game mode because it really is a team game mode, and I can't explain to you like I did on the first point of 2CP. It's a very different game from the first and second point. You have to fight as a team, pick that thing you want to kill, go in with your tank's initiation, and win the fight out from there. The picks you make aren't quite as important as they can be on some other maps. The only thing that really matters with any of the heroes you pick is ult economy. You do want to have ultimates that team wipes. You have to make sure you have a Ryan or a Zarya on your team, really, because you need that massive crowd control. Or you, of course, can split and take your McCree on a mad flank, anything like that. But the management of the ult economy is really important, and keeping your ults for a proper team fight as a team is what you have to do. Again, people can get away with trickling their ults as well in other game modes. On 2CP, you won't get away with that. If anyone on your team's dead and you're instantly winning the fight, you fight out. Sometimes you can fight out and bait out their ultimates, that's fine. You have to keep your ults to win the whole fight as a team. The last thing to talk about, I'll be brief, because it's defense, and I think most people know how to defend on 2CP because that's what most people end up doing, and that's because of the spawn advantage, and that's because of the amount of heroes that are good at stalling, and it's also, as why I mentioned earlier, the pros don't play it so much. It's because they're all so good at stalling that a lot of the games are a nightmare to win. Some of the Koreans are really good at it, but in general the pros just don't even bother because they'll put a D.Va on the point to stall it out, and then someone else will trickle in as a Tracer, and then someone else will trickle in as Winston, and then a Lucio will come in, and the fights never seem to end. So on defense, there's of course the trickle game, and any hero can be picked for that that's got some ability. But Mei is so underrated right now, so if you're playing 2CP and you like playing Mei or would like to learn to play Mei, as long as they don't have a Pharah that's wrecking you, she's always a good pick on all of the 2CP maps. On the second point, she's one of the best picks, so I definitely recommend taking it. A Reinhardt is very important. You don't have to have one, but if you don't have a Ryan, you must have D.Va Winston to counter initiate. I don't recommend that as it's very difficult, but it can work. Soldier is not a must pick, but is never a bad pick. On defense, he's one you can always take. And the worst picks, again, on second point are the same on defense. Hanzo and Widow are just very, very hard to utilize. A lot of the other heroes in the right situations, honestly, can be picked on 2CP. You just have to make sure they work with the team comp that you're currently using. And the only real positioning thing you need to know on this map is get your soldier on the high ground or someone. You don't always have to be there, but it's just such a good, cheeky little spot. It's really, really good. Let me know what you guys think down below. I didn't cover defense too much because I think that's not what people are having issues with. It really is taking the objective. Be sure to check out our Twitter, our Twitch, and our Discord, where you guys can find the Reinhardt main of your dreams to carry you through 2CP. Be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed, and have a great day as always. Take care and peace, people.